Hi, we're going in depth today with a woman who I describe as an activist of activists, especially because she's female and I've followed her over the course of time. I think the first time I ever saw her was going from a hospital bed to a TV show to complain about our leadership. I'm like, who's this loudmouth girl who's doing this? However, we're going in depth with her to what it takes to be an activist. Her name is Aisha Somtochukwu. She's a Nigerian activist and a businesswoman. She co-founded the hashtag Bring Back Our Girls movement, which brings attention to the abduction of over 200 girls from a secondary school in Chibok, Nigeria, on April 14th, 2014, by the terrorist group Boko Haram. She has also been prominently involved in the End SARS movement against police brutality in Nigeria. One thing we can't take away from you, Aisha, is that you have a voice and you use it. Welcome to In Depth.
Thank you so much, Adesuwa, for having me. It's a pleasure being here.
I'm sure you're used to this now. People calling you from different parts of the world, wanting to hear your opinion about things. And is it okay to say you're someone who has integrity?
Okay, let me see. Can somebody really answer that question for oneself? Whether, because I think it's integrity has to do with something that other people will see you and know whether you have it actually, because most people just think they have integrity, but it then depends. So if I will answer that question in my own opinion of myself, and I'm being very candid with myself, I do have integrity, and sometimes it can actually be a pain. For me, the littlest of things that people take for granted or don't think anything about it, for me, it means a lot. If I give my word on something, I'm going to follow through on those words, no matter how much it hurts me or how much it makes me uncomfortable or whatever it is. And then things like, being punctual at events or doing things the way they should be done, even when nobody is watching you, it's something for me that I'm very, very serious upon. And so I would say yes, but I don't think I'm the one that is in a position to be able to say it. I think it's other people that will be able to say whether I do have integrity or not. But one thing is that you may not like me, and people might not like me, and I do say that it's okay whether you love me or you hate me. I have enough love for myself. But one thing is that, when Aisha Yesufu says something, it actually is. My mom says to my court, nobody wins.
Till your court, nobody wins.
No. Because I'm not on anybody's side. I'm not even on my own side. I always strive to be on the side of the truth. So wherever the truth is, that's where you find me. It doesn't matter whether you're my mom, you're my dad, you're my sibling, we're the same religion, we have the same tribe, we have the same skin color. It doesn't matter. As far as I'm concerned, all that matters is where is that truth? That's where I'm going to be. And sometimes people do say that I'm too objective, but I find that it makes life so much easier. I don't have to be thinking about, what did I say yesterday? What should I say today? Just say things are the way they are, and your life will be so much easier.
Okay, I went that route. I would describe you as a person of integrity because you've been consistently calling for governance to think about the people, for governance to be for the people, and you've never changed your mouth. Come rain, come shine. You've been doing the same thing. Now, I'm going in depth with you because I want the young to see and learn from you. It looks like it's easy, but I don't know if it is. But you tell me, what are some of the things that the young must think about as people are asking them organize, be together, and all of those things? What are some of the things they must look out for?
Thank you so much for that question. And I think it's something that a lot of people do miss out. One of the things I would say is that when you're thinking of being an active citizen, I see myself as an active citizen, not necessarily as an activist. And I do say that Nigeria needs more active citizens and not more activists. When you think about being an active citizen, you have to understand that you're going to be in the public space and not everybody will like what you're doing, and that it's okay. First of all, don't seek validation from people. Second of all, hold yourself to higher standards than you hold other people. For me, that's one of my motto. If I'm not going to ask you to do something that I myself am not willing to do it or have not been doing it. Consistency, like you said, is very key. And Dr. Obi Ezekwesili will always say that integrity is not complete until it is consistent. So, and I will also say to people, like, do the right thing at any point in time. And the fact that people are doing otherwise doesn't make it right. And so stay on that. And I'll share a very quick short story with you. In the year 2000, I was doing my NYSC and I was overpaid 3 months, my allowance. And for me, when I realized that, when I went to the bank to check, I saw the money was more than what it was supposed to be. And I called the attention of the bank and everything. It was so difficult for me to return that money. People were telling me, oh no, why are you doing this? The bank didn't want me to return the money. NYC, to the workers there didn't want it. I spent like months going back and forth, insisting. And finally, I returned that money. Look at it today. Every time I think of the fact that if I had taken that money and just because people were telling me that, oh, no, yeah, you are lucky, just take it. This is Nigeria. I won't have the voice that I have today. I won't have the moral justification to be able to speak on things. And so people must understand that in anything you do, hold yourself accountable. Start by holding yourself accountable before you hold any other person. And then finally, one quick thing I'll just add is to also say that you must realize that when you are a voice for other people, most times you lose your voice for yourself. There are a lot of things today that ordinarily before I wouldn't take them. I mean, if you come at me, I will go after you. I won't take them. But now because I'm a voice for other people, so I just let things pass by, because it's almost like, oh no, people just recognize that, like, oh, you too. I mean, you're trying to oppress this person. Meanwhile, the person is the person that wronged you, baby. You can't have a voice for yourself because it's seen as if, oh, you're using that voice to now oppress other people. Those are some of the things. And also, let me quickly add. Sorry, I said last thing before. Let me quickly add.
No, it's okay.
One. You know, this you will lose your what's the word I'm looking for now? Your privacy. One of the things I love about, for me, I used to love before, is the fact that I just like being in spaces where nobody recognizes me. But now
being anonymous.
Yes, yeah, being anonymous. Yeah, thank you for that one. Yeah, you know, your anonymity is gone. Because wherever you are, people will quickly recognize you. And for me, it's something that I used to love before, because of the fact that I wear hijab, a lot of people look down upon me. They see you as somebody who is not educated. So I used to love the fun of, you know, when they look down upon you and then you come and then you now start speaking and people are like, okay, who is that person? Now, before you even talk, everybody already knows who you are. So that, for me, it's also a major, something that people should recognize in terms of that anonymity. They get to lose it.
Okay, I mean, okay, now the question is, how does one become that way? You speak about active citizens as against active activists. You know, and that's like a light bulb for me. It means that you don't have to really be on the street.
Yeah.
Right? But you just have to have your voice.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So that being an active citizen. So for me, let me take myself back. The first time I protested was in 1992. And that was my first year in the university. In short, it was my first semester in the university. Before I left home, my parents warned me not to take part in any protest. I didn't listen to them as usual, of course. I did take part in the protest. So I've always been, when people ask me, how do you get to be who you are? I've always been this person. I've always been somebody who has a voice. And when I was less than 10 years old, I realized that the worst thing any human being can do to you is to kill you. And that it's not the worst thing because you're going to die anyway. So I was less than 10 when I came to that realization. And my dad would always tell us of the story of when I was like 5 years old in nursery school. I walked up to my dad one day and I said to my dad, if you're not the one to take me to school, I will stop going to school. Because the neighbor whom we dropped me off at school was behaving one kind. That was the way I explained it to my dad. I've always been somebody who has always been vocal. I don't fear people. I respect people, and I'm ready to be beaten. I was beaten a lot for my voice, and I was always one that would point out when things are wrong. I don't even care who you are. I'll just tell you this: what you're doing is wrong. This is not the way to do certain things. But I was also that obedient child that whenever rules are laid down, I follow them to the T. So I've always been this person who has always had a voice. I have a voice for myself, for my family. If I say injustice within my own circle, I tackle it, right? So that was for me. I was that person. I wasn't focused on the national issues. I was born. I grew up poor. I wasn't. My dad was a businessman who lost everything, and life became extremely difficult. We lived in the ghetto. So for me, my main focus up until I was 40 years was to get out of the shackles of poverty, to break the shackles of poverty. And I had this big dream. In 2014, by the way, my mom called me and thanked me for doing it for the whole family. So for me, it's always been, I had that voice for myself, my family, people around me. So when I turned 40, I realized that I had become the problem of Nigeria. How did I become the problem of Nigeria? By my silence. As a teenager, as a young girl, I used to be angry at Nigeria. I used to be angry at the adults who sat down and did nothing while the country was being mismanaged. Corruption was going on, a lot of things. It was the military era, things weren't going fine. And I would look at my parents and like, why are you guys quiet? And here I was at 40 years. I realized that I had become one of those who are tired, and there are also little children who are talking the way I talk and who are angry at Nigeria who are also blaming me. And on that day, I said to myself, if God gives me another 40 years, and I'm going to devote it to Nigeria. And I started looking up for what are the things that I'm going to put my voice on. And 4 months later, people were abducted, and I was on the street from that first day that the protest was held. So for me, it was a deliberate decision to begin to be an active citizen of Nigeria, because by being a passive citizen, I also was a problem of the country. And from there on, and I think it's a choice that people have to make. And it's very important if you are deliberate and intentional about it, which was the way I was. That's why when people are insulting me, when people are abusing me, when people are attacking me, people have said they're going to kill me, my life, everything. I didn't even care. Because this is what I set up to do. I'm not looking for anybody's validation. And I always say this thing, I will never give up on Nigeria, no matter what it throws at me. I am not fighting for the Nigerians that are here today. I'm fighting for the unborn generation that are going to come to Nigeria the way I wish others had fought for me before I came to Nigeria. Because if they had picked Nigeria before I was born, I wouldn't be here fighting for mundane things. I'll be fighting for more sophisticated things. So I think for me, being an active citizen is a deliberate thing that every citizen should think about, because it means that we are worthy of having a nation that works for all of us. And your voice is valid. Don't ever allow anybody to shut you down. If they don't want anybody to give you a seat at the table or a mic to speak, bring your own mat. If there's no seat at the table, even if there's no table, bring your own mat. Sit down there, open your mat, keep taking until they're forced to listen.
What I hear you do, as I take a little breather, what I hear you say is you can be a person of integrity. If you are not a person of integrity and you get into that space, you might not make it, right? You might not make it. That's what you're saying. Yes. But you say, you also talk about our voice is valid, recognizing that our voice is valid. But you know that there are sacrifices. People are hungry. People are, youngsters are jackbuying. You know what I mean by that? They're looking for greener pastures elsewhere. What do you think is the one ingredient that will make people realize that you say that you can never be anywhere else but here, but this is certainly not perfection for you?
So, the thing about jackpying, I'm 48 years old, right? And the first time I knew about jackpying, even though it wasn't called jackpying, I was around 10.
Andrew, check out. It was check out.
Exactly. And he's checking out. I'm checking out. And I saw those adverts in the early 80s. So jackpying did not start. And even before that, during the Biafra War and the Civil War in Nigeria, people jackpot. Jackpying will always happen. Then the thing is that there are people who, even during that angry time, there were a lot of people who wanted to do the jackpot, who couldn't jackpot, and today they are now grandparents in Nigeria. So one of the people, what's the realistic? We are thinking about 200 million people. There's no how all of us are going to leave Nigeria. The world cannot be contained. So there are some people that will not leave. Maybe to leave Nigeria, you're not able to take everybody along with you. So for those who want to leave, fantastic. I say to them, please, if you want to go, just wait and go. You can always help Nigeria for wherever you are. For those who can't leave and for those who want to stay here, let's sit down and fix this country, and we can all do it. Running away is not going to make things easier. Staying here, yes, life is not easy, but if we fight enough and realize that indeed we as a people, we have power to get things done, then we begin to be the elections are all about. I think people who say to us that, we shouldn't have elections, we should have some interim government. No way. This democracy, many people died for it. See, so you and I know what military era was all about. I was like 8 years old, and I can still tell you today, let me tell you, I was like 10. I have a vision of a man, a very big man, fat man, dad, who is a meat seller, who was being beaten by what do you call it, military men. And they threw him into this their open fan. And I'm thinking like that vision, I'm seeing it literally as if I'm looking at it. And that's a 38-year-old picture in my head. So we went through hell under military. This democracy is amazing. The fact that the government will say something, we also will say something back to the government. They know that their power comes from the people. Every 4 years they're going to come to us and ask for our votes. It's not something we must take for granted, because there's so many people who died for the democracy, who paid the ultimate price for this democracy that we're here enjoying. So there's no going away. We died here. This is our country. And we're going to fight for it. And I'm going to people. If the people who are giving us bad governance are not tired, then we as citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, we have no business being getting tired of fighting them to ensure that we have a country where the child is nobody can become somebody without doing anything. So we keep on the fight. I would say to people, don't give up. If the people say something, to see the greatest weapon of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. The moment they're able to oppress you and get your mind where you believe that you can't get anything, can't be done, then they have won. But the moment in your mind you know that you can win, you can stand up, you can fight for your country, and you can get a mission that works for you. I mean, that's it. They will no longer have that weapon over you. And 2020, October 2020, the EndSARS protest, the biggest thing that EndSARS protest did was that it emancipated the people. Today, the people know that they have the power and they are ready to use the power. And I'm so glad seeing the Nigerian youth, what they're doing today. I mean, it's so heartwarming to see how they are taking charge of the political space, and they're saying enough is enough, and they're saying they can make a difference, and we're looking forward to that.
As you watch the political landscape now, right, you see the shenanigans going on. I saw you tweet recently, there was a case of Banky W being elected, and then the party under which was elected, though we saw the videos, they changed it. When you see things like that, what does that do for the young who are trying to come into the system? Are they going about it the wrong way?
When I see things like that, I'm normally not surprised, because it's what has been happening. We saw in this country, the party that did that, when the party was in power, we saw a situation where they said 16 votes was more than 19 votes, even though there were evidence that 19 were counted. But they make 16 to be greater than 19. So it's the kind of shenanigans they are used to. And it's not that the young people are doing the wrong thing. The young people are actually doing the right thing. It's the older generation that have been in place, that have entrenched incompetence into this places, that are actually doing the wrong thing. And one of the things that I'll say to the young people and every Nigerian out there is that, look, whatever they do, at the end of the day, they're going to come and meet you at the polls. Unless we stop rewarding their bad behavior, they are not going to stop. And that's the message that we're passing all the time. We must stop the bad behavior of politicians who think that they can do anyhow, and then we don't have any option except to vote for party A or party B. No, Nigerians will have options. There are other parties. What we must do, and this is what I've been talking about for the last 4 years, is that we must vote candidates and not parties. At this moment, where we have to, it's like you go for, what do they call this? Is it buffet? Buffet, where you go there, we can pick one of these, who is the candidate for president, who is the candidate for governor, who is the candidate for senate, who is the candidate for House of Reps, State House of Assembly, and so on. That's the thing that we must do. When these parties know that when they behave badly, and they do not give the citizens the competent candidates that the citizens are yearning for, that the citizens will go to other parties, wherever these candidates go to, they follow them and vote them there. When they realize that we start doing that, they will start behaving well. So the thing is that if we continue to reward bad behavior, people will continue to behave badly, and that's what we have continuously done by saying that only two parties can win election. No, what are the structures? They tell you that other parties don't have structures. What are structures. The people are the structures. We the people are the structures. And as long as we are ready to give our time and our money to the candidates that we see are fit, those candidates are going to win. And so it's not about us sitting down and doing nothing and expecting that, oh, manna will fall from heaven. There's nothing else in the world. Life is not a pizza man. It doesn't do delivery. You have to go out there and go and get what you want. And that's what we must do. The things that we're looking for, we must go out there, we must get them, we must work hard for them, we must be on the streets for them, we must also donate money to them. People, the kind of democracy we've been having in Nigeria is the one that we expect that candidates are going to fill in their money and they will use their money to campaign. If we continue on that path, what will happen is that people who have stolen our commonwealth are the ones that will continue to perpetuate themselves in office or perpetuate their students and their children, which is what we have right now. So we must put our money where our votes are. Another thing also is the fact that we must do what is known as network marketing. 1 for 5 votes. You are one person. Talk to 5 people about your candidate. Tell them about your candidate. So you get 5 people for that your candidate. Those 5 people, get 5 more people keep. That's what we have. We have 5 times 5 votes. And that's the way you do the ballot paper. 2023 election, anyone can be the game changer. It depends on the person who believes that they have the capacity to be the game changer. So I will tell you this. We have the youth. The youth can be the game changer of the 2023 election, and also Nigerians in the diaspora. The youth, they have intelligence. They have shown how they are able to organize themselves with the NSAS process that we saw. They have technology, they have social media, and they can be the game changer of the 2023 election. They can volunteer. They can be on social media campaigning for their candidates. They can be on the street campaigning for their candidates, and they can be creative about it. The Nigerians in diaspora also can be the game changer for the 2023 election. They can spend in the money. We need money for votes. Every one of us. We must put our money where our votes are. And so the dollar there, the euro there, whatever they're sending back home, this is the time to put them into the campaign funds of credible candidates that will go there. And meanwhile, when they also go there, we must hold them accountable when they are in office. It's not the one that you vote for somebody and you say you don't hold the person accountable because you have voted for that person. So these are things that can be done. And one of the things I see to Nigerians in diaspora is the fact that, yes, for now, this is something that will continue to work towards for us to have diaspora voting, but you can influence the election. Every one of your people back home that are asking you to spend their money, ask them whether they have their PVC before you spend their money. Anybody that is not registered for PVC, don't send them money. We must do something. Ask them who are they voting for. Are they volunteering for candidates? We cannot sit down and expect the politicians who have looted our country be the ones to use their money. We saw what happened with the delegates, the way they use their money to buy up delegates, and with the way they use their money for what do they call this? Party agents, polling unit agents. You as a citizen, you can volunteer yourself to be a polling unit agent for your candidate. And so if we have 1 million Nigerians who are ready to be polling unit agents for candidates that they believe in, what will be people sitting down there and ensuring that the elections are not manipulated at the polling unit? So any one of us who can be game changer as long as we put our minds to it. Nigerians should not be afraid. It's no longer business as usual. It is not business unusual. We have a new electoral act, and that is something that is major, and we must make use of it. You can see the politicians are running out of water. It's not the way it used to be before, where they could predict what was going to happen. And very importantly, we have a president who is self-absorbed, who doesn't care about what goes on, that it's not about him. Let's use that self-absorbment that he has for the advantage of Nigeria, and he will not be you will not be a force behind a candidate per se. So let us citizens be the ones that are taking charge, taking the reins of 2023 election and going. Don't be afraid. One thing that can happen, so we're already down. This is failure. We're already being killed like chicken in our own country. And if anybody tells you that you're going to waste your vote, tell them that they are already wasting their life. Anyway, they're wasting our lives in our country. So it's better to waste our vote than continue to waste our life.
Always passionate. I can hear the passion and I can feel the passion. And I would like to know, though, what you think is the best thing about this electoral act, the change that is coming, that makes it possible for even the Akarasela to be a game changer?
Absolutely. There are so many positive things about the Electoral Act, but I'll just take a few. First of all, the card reader is not in the law. It's not like what we had before where we were told after the 2015 election, one of the game changers of the 2015 election was the card reader. But unfortunately, by the time they got to the Supreme Court, the Supreme Court judged that the card reader is not in the law, and so it could not be used. So the fact that now we have the card reader in the law, we also have a game changer, the situation whereby if you are a political office holder and you want to run, you have to resign. So that forced a lot of them to resign rather than people sitting down and using that their political what do I call it?
Position.
Advantage. And yes, against to their own advantage. So that's another one. We also have the issue of this delegate system. In as much as what we have seen now, where people who are delegates, you understand the way that it's been about money, it's still a good thing if we are able to manage it, and the citizens are able to punish parties who just vote where people just delegates were bought. And what we have now is that all of those political office holders, appointees, elected officials, and all of that, they cut themselves out of being delegates, right? So we have a smaller number of delegates that can easily be managed, not to the advantage of also to the people. For the 2023 election, the politicians have used it to their advantage. Probably from the 2020, working for the 2027 election or subsequent election, we the people should use it to advantage. Let's get people who have competence that will actually be the delegates, people that that are incorruptible, that cannot be bribed. If we have them in those positions, that would be massive for all of us. Another thing also is the fact that there can be transmission of rewards electronically. It's no longer a situation whereby you have to carry it to the collection center to be taken somewhere, because that's where a lot of the votes are being manipulated. And right now, what you have is the fact that there must be accreditation. This accreditation is either by your finger, your thumbprints are used, your prints are used, fingerprints, or they use your facial recognition. If none of them is working, then they are not going to use this student form. Because one of the things we had before, when it doesn't work, they'll bring in the student form, they pile up the ballot boxes and all of that. Now it's not going to your face is not recognized, your fingers are not recognized. Please, can you sit out this election? Next election, go and get it rectified so that you'll be recognized in the system. So these things are huge game changers. And now politicians know that even if they go and attack people and then they fill the ballot boxes with their own completed what do you call it now? The ballot sheet, it's not going to make a difference, because as long what is going to be is the number accredited. The number of votes must not be more than the number accredited. If you see, then it's not going to work. So these are a lot of some of the game changers that we have in the electoral. And there are quite others that are there. But these are really major wins for every one of us. And I think it's something that we should take advantage of. One of the things I always say is that history is very slow when you're living it. So you don't actually see things happening. You don't think that, we are not making progress. We've made a lot of progress from 2015 to 2019 and now going to 2023. And it's very important for us to always appreciate this little win, because in nation building, there's no shortcut to nation building. Nation building, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. So every little good thing that you have, keep taking it up and keep fighting for it. And then let me also add something at Adesuwa, which is very, very, very important. The legislative arm of government is the bedrock of democracy. Most times in Nigeria, we do not focus our attention on that. And that's where the power is. Forget the fact that the people we have in the legislative arm of government today, the National Assembly, the state houses of assembly, they do not, and also the councillors, they do not understand their power. But the thing is that the legislative arm of government, they are the ones who make laws, they are the ones who have oversight control, they are the ones who also hold executive accountable. And when people are saying that they want a new constitution, this constitution is the legislative arm that will give us a new constitution. It is the legislative arm that, whether we want to restructure Nigeria, it is also the legislative arm. It's not the executive arm. The executive, even they don't ask, even the president does not assent to the whatever to the law, the new constitution. They can override it, they can veto it, they have the power, they use 2/3 of it. So we must be mindful of the kind of people that we put in the legislative arm of government. We must ensure that we're putting people with competence, character, capacity, people who have courage, people who are patriotic, people who are going to work for Nigeria, people who are not hungry, whose stomach infrastructure is not of importance to them. If we have these people there, they will be able to give us good laws, they'll be able to give us a new constitution. When we want Nigeria restructured, they will be able to do it and get it. So we must be mindful. We must be intentional in putting the right kind of people in office. Like I said earlier, we should vote candidates and not parties. And another thing also that the politicians are not so invested in the legislative arm of government. That's their weak point. And if you want to fight people, it's always good to focus on their weak points. And we always have by-elections, and we can always get people into the National Assembly or State House of Assembly. We need to be people.
So we should start thinking of who are our members of House, who are our senators, who are our members of the Assembly, and but how do we know them? Which brings me to one final area, the role of the media. And in the past, the media was, now the media is democratized. So what should we be using the social media space for? How do we know what are the investments we must make to find those capable and competent members of good character?
So the media is supposed to be I think they call them the fourth estate of the realm, right? It's supposed to be the voices of the masses. And unfortunately in Nigeria, like in every other thing that we have in Nigeria, somehow if that's not the way it is. And you have a situation whereby a lot of our media houses are owned by politicians, and you find that even journalists who are trying to do the right thing, they're always having to fight either with the publishers or the editors or the owners and stuff like that. So it's quite tough, and I do understand that. And here we still have journalists who are keeping us focused on what is happening. But the biggest thing is that social media has democratized media. So it's unlike what we have when we're growing up, like when I was like 10 years old in the early 80s, what you had was that you had the 7 a.m. news and you had the 9 p.m. news, and that was it. Government will talk to you then, and that's it. You can't even speak back to government. And then you had a lot of the government were the ones who owned and controlled media. Right now, the government is not the one who owns it's not the only one who owns or controls media. People also own and control media, and even people on their own social media handles, they also control their own media. And so right now we have a situation whereby you can actually speak and you'll be heard. You can do live broadcast from your house, and the government will say something, and you also will say something right back at government, and you can actually set the agenda. There is a word that has been bastardized in Nigeria, and that's agenda. When people say, oh, you have an agenda. Oh, don't mind it for that. Of course, agenda is part of life. In any policy, when you're making any policy, you start with agenda setting. That's putting the issue on the table, the first burning issue on the table. And so these are the things that everyone of us has the capacity to do now, and the media is very instrumental in that. In terms of the issue, the first of the question, which is, what do we know who are the competent candidates? So I think people should understand what is it that you want in a candidate. The first thing you should be looking for is empathy. Anybody who wants to become your candidate, you must find out where was that person when you were being by the Nigerian government? Where was that person when you were going so much? Where is the person's voice? There are people in Nigeria who speak when it is convenient to speak. And there are people that put their life on the line to speak. You must know who are these your candidates. Is it the kind of candidate that only speak when it's convenient to speak? Like the kind of candidate that will come, but they do a tweet, and then they find out, the tweet doesn't, some people don't like the tweet, and they need those people, so they want their tweet and go and start apologizing to the people, even when people are killed. So you want to for empathy. For me, it's the number one thing. If you have politicians, people who are going to the political office, who have empathy, so we want every Nigerian to be the kind of position that they are there. That's what empathy is all about. It means that you care for the people and you want to raise the standard of living of the people. You want to raise the kind of life the people are living to your own standard, or even higher. A situation where has this person been? Is the person there for you? Has the person been working and putting in their all to the nation? Or do they sit down? Do they travel abroad and go and have fun? And every 4 years they come down to you and begin to tell you that you should vote for them because they know that it is money. They have dollars that they can share, and people will end up voting for them. These are things that you have to check. How competent is this person? What is the work that the person has been doing? What is and one of the things I want to say to people is that when people show you who they are, believe them. Don't start making excuses for you. Nobody has shown you that they are heartless. People have been killed. They have not said anything. The person wants to be president. The person refuses to say anything. And then you are making excuses for the person. It's because, no. They have just shown you who they are. Just believe them and take them for their words. Don't start giving them second chance for one thing or the other. So these are things also that Nigeria should be looking at. What have the people done? What have they done when the cameras are not on them? What have they done when the focus is not on them? What have they done when it didn't matter for anybody to do anything? These are the kind of things that are going to be looked at. And one of the things that we must do away with is so this focus on religion, focus on ethnicity, focus on gender. It doesn't matter. You can be the same gender with the person. If the person is incompetent, when it's affecting, the person wouldn't do anything. If the person has no character, the person wouldn't do anything. Also, character is very important. When the people, whatever politician, I know in Nigeria we've made up this whole. I don't know. We've made politicians to be people who can afford to not be trustworthy. You can't give somebody position of power when they are not trustworthy. So character is very important. We must look at what do they say. Are their words they are born? If a politician is saying one thing and doing another thing, that's one way that the person will never, ever get my vote. I'm moving on. There's no need. And so these are things that Nigeria should be very mindful of and should check and know that politics is about our lives. A lot of people do not understand the relationship between governance and their lives, and so they vote anyhow. Governance will determine whether you are going to be alive or you're going to be dead. You're going to, whatever is going to happen, it determines it. And so we must be very serious about who we put into office. It's not a joke. You see some people will be make, is that person you're campaigning? But where are we campaigning? They think it's a joke. No, it's not a joke. It's a life or death issue. And that's what we are facing right today.
Would you say we have come to our senses finally? I'm just wondering that, it's 23 years of democracy, almost 24 years of democracy. Would we say we have come to our senses and now there's going to be real change?
So I think in terms of our senses, we're getting back our senses. We've not come to our senses. So there's a difference. Before, we were actually so senseless. We didn't bother. We just said that, okay. But I think now more than ever, we still have a long way to go, but we've also come from a very long way. Now more than ever, people realize the relationship between governance and their lives. You know the thing about, they say human beings are inherently selfish. If something is not affecting people, they don't see any need for it. But right now, the insecurity in the country is affecting every one of us. Nobody is safe, no matter where you think you are. And I think people are beginning to realize that the governance affects everyone. And so they're putting that effort. So there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. Most especially is in the mindset, because a lot of Nigerians are disillusioned. They have seen a lot of people that they believed in. They voted those people into office, and the people didn't do well. And then, people blame them. And I think one of the things we must say, and I've been repeating this over the years, is that you must not blame citizens for the people that have voted into office. Whoever Nigerians give their mandate to, whoever is voted, the onus is on the person that is voted to give good governance. You don't come attacking citizens that, you voted for this person, to come and apologize to. But how do you tell people to apologize for a right that they have, a right that people died for them to have? There's no difference between you and dictators in that case. So the onus will always be on the people who have voted for, and it's not to castigate the people who did the voting. So I would say, yes, in a way we are getting there. We are getting our senses back. Yeah. We are seeing how we have gotten it all back. And we're looking for what I would say to you, the 2023 election is going to be absolutely interesting. And for me, I'm loving the fact that a lot of Nigerians, especially the younger Nigerians, the youth of this nation, as realizing their power, they're understanding how important election is, how important governance is. With that electing proper people into office, we can't have growth in our country, and we continue to suffer the way that we've been suffering now. One of the things I always like to let people understand is that there is a relationship that we have, a symbiotic relationship in Nigeria between our religious rulers and also our political rulers. I call them rulers, not leaders. So what is happening is that they are having fun at our expense. They work together. The religious rulers, they need the political rulers to give bad governance so that they can sell cheap miracles. So they will say to you, oh, you've gotten a job, it's a miracle. Oh, you've gotten a visa to travel out, it's a miracle. Come and do testimony. Those things are not miracles. You got a job. Yes, jobs are supposed to be created. That's the work of government. When you don't have a job, it's not your enemy that has taken away your job. It's the economy that is contracting. And because the economy is contracting, businesses are closing and all businesses are leaving the country. And so you won't have, there are no jobs being, more jobs being created. And more people are even thrown into the labor market. So these things are not miracles. On the other hand, the politicians need the religious rulers to keep the people subjugated. So you see, on one hand, they are saying to the people, oh, don't worry, even if you are suffering on earth, when you go to heaven, you're going to enter paradise, and then you will enjoy there, enjoy all the suffering. Don't say anything back to the government. They will tell you protest is haram and stuff like that. On another hand, you see some of them say, oh, just pray for your own personal salvation, pray for your own, a miracle, and get a prosperity, just get that and just leave government alone. And so this is a symbiotic relationship that we have. They will tell the woman who has suffered, who has sold ice fish, who has trained her child in university, her child came out with good results, but there's no job. They will say that it is village people that have caused it. They will say that it is enemies, it is principalities and powers and all of that. They will never tell her that it's the government that is not doing the right thing. And so we need to break that shackle. We need people to understand the relationship between governance and their life so that they will take election more seriously.
We must do this again. We must do this again. But I just setting the tone, which is why I had you as a guest, setting the tone, letting people understand that the power really is in our hands. So one last word, just one word. As I look at the landscape, what would you say is the most important weapon in the arsenal of voters? What's the most important weapon? Hope.
Hope. Yes, hope. The can-do spirit. As long as Nigerians believe that they can do it. And that's all you need. When you know that, yes, it's in your hand, everything is possible. That's the biggest weapon that we have. And I think I would like to quote Henry Ford at this moment. Henry Ford said that if you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't. Either way, you're right. So it is time for us as Nigerians to think that we can. We can get incredible people into office, people with competence, character, and capacity, people that will work for us. We will get that Nigeria where the child of nobody can become somebody without knowing anybody. We'll get the Nigeria where education, good quality education, will no longer be dependent on the economic status of one's family, where we'll have public education, we have good quality and for everyone. We'll have a country where a president will not go abroad for medical care. We'll have a country where if anyone come at us, touch any single Nigeria, abduct or kidnap any single Nigeria, the whole Nigeria state will go after them and get them out. We'll have a country that works for all of us. So hope, I would say, and let's hope for a better Nigeria.
Is that why you still keep wearing to bring back our girls, even though they've been gone for years?
Absolutely. For me, let me tell you something. I said in May 2014, that was when I realized that the first day I went out for the Bring Back Our Girls March, I went there because I was a parent. I had 2 children, a teenager and a preteen at that time. But as the protest went on, I realized that I was a Chibok girl as of that time, 21 years ago. I finished secondary school in 1991, and my parents were very poor. And I lived in a place where I was mocked because I was going to school. All my friends were married up at the age of 11. And so I was mocked, and I knew my parents were poor. I would go to school in the morning without breakfast, coming back home, I had no lunch. And I knew if I was taken away in 1991, my parents would never have had the voice to make demands for me, because when you're poor in Nigeria, you're faceless, nameless, and voiceless. And so in May 2014, I realized that I was no longer going to make demands for Chibok girls because I'm a parent. But for the little girl that I was, that used to cry for help, that nobody listened, that little girl that begged people to give her textbook to read in 1991 so that she would get A in chemistry and biology, but she never got it. And I said to myself, if I give up on the Chibok girls, no matter how long it takes, and that time I said, even if it's 20 years, if I give up on them, that would mean that I too gave up on myself. I gave up on the little girl that I was crying for help, and nobody listened to her. And that would be an absolute failure on my part, and I can't afford it. So I keep on working. And like I said, it is the duty of the Nigerian government to bring back all the Chibok girls, to ensure that they are accounted for. Chibok girls and every Nigeria that is in captivity, Leah Sharibu and all of them in captivity. For the rescue of Chibok girls, it's not a privilege, it's their right as enshrined in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Somtochukwu, Aisha. There will be another conversation to explain that. But I see the biggest arsenal in your life is hope. And you're telling us that the biggest arsenal in our life is hope. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you so much. Bye. It's a pleasure being with you today, Adesuwa. Thank you.
And I say bye. I say don't forget to subscribe to In Depth on our YouTube channel and share this. Make sure you watch, and others too. Bye.